Hi guys, and welcome to Legion Live. So, this is episode 6. Sorry we're a little bit late. As always, there were some technical problems. Although last time, if I remember rightly, there weren't actually any technical problems, which of course is a bonus. But it couldn't last, could it? Let's be honest. Right, so, with me tonight, we've got IDICBeer.
Evening all.
And then on the far side, we've got Ace Face for his second show.
Hello.
Okay, right down below me, we've got Callum from Tabletop Banter.
Hello.
Okay, next to him, we've got Jacob from the Wartforge.
Hey.
And then on the end there, I think doing his first show, although he was integral in the setup of the very first show, we've got Remco from Tabletop Warzone.
Hey guys.
Cool. Right, let us know if there's any problems with the audio and that sort of thing. It's been a bit of a nightmare, but hopefully everything's working now. So, fingers crossed. Right, so we may as well go on to the first section, unless anyone's got anything to say. I'll take that as a no. Legion news! Right. I'm going to go with the Wartforge. Do you have any news for us this week on your channel? We'll go sporadically around everybody in no particular order.
Not at the moment. Currently with unit deadlines coming, I've been very busy. However, me Forge World Order did ship through, so as you've seen on probably my Facebook page, I've been doing a load of upgrade packs. Me Warp Tanks have got shoulder pads and head pads. Me Dreadnought now has a head and the front crest, as I will show here. It's even got a little etched brass for like the Night Lord's insignia. And one thing which I forgot to put up as well was this little guy. He's now got his etched brassons on, and he's got his Kara's assault cannons on. So I'll probably put that up on Google Plus first, along with everything else, because I've got to put them on Google Plus first. But that's as much as I've been currently doing. I'm looking forward to painting them all now. Just can't wait.
Fair enough. So there's a lot of models that were missing bits. I'm sensing at the beginning of that. It was a lot of this model's now got that model's now got this.
A lot of models are halfway through processing of building.
Yeah,
I've just got to get the upgrade sets, which is the thing that takes so long.
I think most of mine stay in bits because I magnetise the hell out of everything. So it never becomes one until I plonk all the magnets in. Right, I'll go to Nick from IDICBeer next. What have you been up to?
Yep, I've been basically busy painting Necron tanks. Yeah, I've not really had any hobby time for much else. I have been playing some Star Trek Attack Wing with a new bio ship that I've got, Species 8472. It's been really good fun. We've done a battle report actually on that as well, so that'll be coming up next couple of days. But yes, really enjoying it actually, to be fair. So the other night we had like a really hectic day, and we were due to play 40k, but it just didn't feel like it. 2k game, get all the train out, and then so you finish at 11 o'clock, half 11, you've got to put all the train away and the table away. So we said, oh, let's just play X-Wing, and that's what we like about X-Wing. Oh, not X-Wing, Attack Wing.
It may as well be.
If you want to just like a light relief, you can play that. We had 3 games in one night. We still finished at 10:30. It was good fun. So yeah, I've got that battle report coming up soon. But otherwise, I'm just basically working on the Necron formation.
Awesome. Can you actually call Necron vehicles tanks? Have they?
Yeah, they're skimmer tanks.
What are they technically classed as? Because I haven't got a bloody clue. It's like a brick that slides across the floor, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
it's more of a
tank.
It's more of a drag than anything else. Anyway, just a thought. May as well go to Ace Face next. You been up to much?
Yeah, it's been busy. So I've got another tournament next weekend. So I've got the London GT, which will be the biggest UK tournament this year. So that should be a lot of fun. It's ETC rules, which is not my favourite, but still be interesting. It's not too far to drive and to be there, so that's handy, because quite a lot of the time I'm travelling miles to tournaments. It's quite nice for it to be within a touchable distance, so that should be good. Got a battle report dropping on the channel probably the end of this week, maybe next week, which is the full AdMech War Convocation versus an extremely nasty demon army. That should be quite good. There was another very, very, very close game. Quite two extremely cheesy armies playing each other, which is always fun to see. As always. Then what else? So the World Eaters is carrying on them, kind of just trying not to rush them. So I'm just waiting until I'm in kind of a real focus mood to concentrate on them. I have to be in the right kind of frame mood.
Sure. Got
more Riptides working on because subs want to see the Riptide wing in play. So I keep saying I'll play it. So I've got around to building my last 3 Riptides, and they're coming on. So that'll be dropping soon. We get a battle report with them, which would be good fun. And then the biggest thing that is a minefield, but is being absolutely awesome fun to organise, is the big tournament that myself and Martin are running, the Northwest Open in July. So that's taken an awful lot of time, and I'm losing a lot of hair very quickly over it.
Hence the cap.
Hence the cap. Because no, this is in aid of Callum. This is my hat.
I see.
But yeah, so that's taken up an awful lot of time. It's a lot of hard work, but it's hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be good when we eventually get it together. But yeah, it's been very busy.
I mean, to ask actually, when you said it's the biggest tournament in the country, so is yours not a fairly big one that you're running up there?
Well, at the moment we've got quite a few sign-ups, but we won't. I mean, the London GT can take up to 200 players. We max out at about 60, 70. But if we can get that number, and both me and Martin would love that to be the case. That's a big stretch for anyone's first tournament. But if we make that number, we'll be a major tournament for the ITC, which will make us the biggest UK ITC tournament.
Right.
But the London GT is just kind of the all-round biggest tournament potentially this year in the UK. It all depends whether they sell the tickets. I think they've gone above 100 now. You always get the last minute rush generally with tournaments, so they might see a few more come through. But yeah, it should be fun. Should be fun.
Yeah.
Still don't know what I'm taking, which is a bit of a worry.
You're gonna go hard.
Oh, of course, yes. It's ETC, so I'm going to upset people. That's the plan.
Fair enough. So is that the one that you guys are running up in the north? Is that going to be on several floors of the shop, or is it all going to be on one floor? So that's one thing I've always wondered.
So it'd be on 2 floors. It will depend on the attendance. So his tournament halls go onto 2 floors, but it just depend on whether we get above sort of 30 players, and then it will probably have to go on to the next floor up. So sure. It's kind of there, ready and waiting. It's going to be pretty amazing. I mean, the facilities and the money that Martin's pumping into it. It will be spectacular. It's just like anything. It's the first time round. It's just a minefield to kind of get it down. We're convinced that once we get through the first one, then word of mouth will grow it as a tournament. But like anything, speaking to a lot of guys that have run tournament, and getting that first one off the ground is not easy. And an absolute hats off to him. Martin has an absolute stand-up attitude that you go big or you go home.
He comes across that way.
Things, and it's great to have someone like Martin on your side, because I mean, he's the financial backer. He's the one that's doing it all. I'm just in it for the experience, for the crack. I mean, I'm not making any money from it. I'm not. There's no gain for me. I'm not even playing in the tournament unless there's an odd number.
Oh, right,
I just really wanna. I want to make a big tournament, big successful tournament in the UK for the ITC. If I can do that, then for me it's kind of another little bucket list thing for the. You
just can't stand losing in your own tournament, can you?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Not a good start.
But yeah,
right.
but it should be good.
Yeah, and keep an eye on that, I think. Right, I haven't forgot about you.
Thank you.
Go for you next, Callum. What have you been up to?
All right, okay. What have I been up to? Well,
Not gone to sleep yet, have you?
it's been the exam season at uni. I had my first exam today. So naturally, I've been doing loads of hobbying because there is no better way to procrastinate. So painted up a few things for Age of Sigmar. Painted a box of dryads because I just think that the model's already cool, and 4 pages of rules is quite nice because it's not like 200 odd to remember. So it's a little bit easier going.
Haven't you got like your army scribes or whatever it is as well to remember? So it's not just the 4 pages.
Well, you can just carry that in a book.
Oh, I suppose. Fair enough. Sorry, carry on. I was just curious because I've heard that there's.
What was that story? It just came through really patchy.
Oh right, you're having a few problems. I think you keep freezing on our side as well.
There we are.
Oh.
It's okay. It's back.
I was just saying that it looks like you've got few rules, but you've actually got quite a few when you actually get into it. I think with all the army books and that.
Yeah, it's still not quite as extensive as 40k.
Well, nothing's as extensive as 40k. To be honest.
But yeah, I've been enjoying like reading up on that and stuff, and sorting out potentially some Ninth Age.
Oh.
So like the community-run fantasy game. Effectively, yeah.
Right.
But that's been about it, really. Sort of really looking into fantasy a bit more.
Cool.
Get both sides of the hobby in.
Awesome. Right, Tabletop Warzone. Last. Actually, no, I'm last, aren't I? What have you been up to?
Yeah, well, I've been building up my Imperial Knights from the Renegade box set, and that's going slow. I don't know why, but I've been painting up Reboot Gilliman. I think that's how you call him. I have no clue.
Sounds about right, yeah.
I think that's right.
Something like that. And yeah, it's a Forge World model, so it's pretty awesome to do. And kind of paints itself. I don't know how to otherwise describe it. I don't know, it just froze on and it just keeps painting on.
It's a beautiful model. Absolutely beautiful.
Now to try and do it justice. That's about it for this that I've been painting and building, and I think tomorrow will be time for the Q&A video thingamajig. So I'll be doing that, and that's coming up this week. So that's it.
Awesome. Cheers. Cool. Right, that leaves me. So what have I been up to? Not much, to be honest. I've been doing this fella, which you'll have seen if you've been watching the old channel for a few days. But other than that, I was a bit of a blur, to be honest, the past few days. Work's been a bit manic because I was off for the week last week. Obviously hit 1,000 subscribers, which I'm not going to shut up about because I'm really, really chuffed. Thank you very much. So that, along with just how mental it's all gone and how sporadic my videos have been and having that week off, I'm not sure what I've done when, to be honest. I think I might have done the barricades since the last one. I don't know. Yeah, so that's that. Oh, and I can't remember how long ago the Gorka Morka stuff was, but that was pretty awesome. It's getting a lot of good feedback. Right, I may as well take this opportunity to have a see who's in the chat. I've missed a lot of it, I think. So I saw Big Met Danskull. Welcome. I saw Sponge Hammer. If any of you guys want to chime in with people that I've missed, we've got Darkest Soul. I think he's new to our little community. Certainly new to my channel, I believe. Who else have we got?
Wargamer
Sean. Yep. We've got the other half of Tabletop Banter chiming in. Is there anyone I've missed?
Blue Cloud and Drew.
Ah, yes. Oh, there we go. We got Mini Warrior as well, and we've also got Grawley's Layers in there, I believe, or he certainly was at the beginning. Whether he stuck around through the technical issues, I'm not sure. He may well still be lurking. Hey, there we go. So he is there. We've got 13 people watching at the moment. I think we had a few more, but I don't know how much faith I put in that view account, to be honest. It never seems to be anywhere near accurate. Right, so that's what everyone has been up to. We may as well move on to the topic for discussion. And this week's discussion is going to be around the new supplement that GW released, which was... Now, I've got notes on it, but I haven't written the name. Death from the Skies?
Yep.
Hey! What was the old one called?
Death from the Sky.
Death from the Skies.
Oh, there we go. So that helps. Well, that's strange. Anyway. Right, what we got? I guess we may as well start off with what is it? So, do you want me to start that off, or does anybody want to take up the sort of brief description of what it is?
I can go for it if you like.
Yeah, go for it.
It's a supplement, as you said, but it's a little bit more than a supplement, because what it actually... GW's intention for it is it actually integrates into the standard rule set, which is what's potentially causing some uproar. So it changes the rules for flyers and the way that they interact within the game. It introduces a new phase, which I'm sure we'll talk about, and how that phase works. It also introduces certain buffs that flyers then change the rest of the gaming experience. It gives you new rules for pretty much all of the current GW flyers, not full 12 flyers. And it also gives rules for universal formations, so formations of any flyers, and some formations for army-specific flyers and how to use them. It also gives some unique sort of almost character style rules for flyers, and also introduces some almost kind of scenario style extras to it, so almost campaign-esque, so certain rules that you can carry on to future campaigns. Right. So yeah, there's some stuff on that as well. So there's a hell of a lot in it. It's obviously what, 35 quid book, but it's not to everybody's taste, but definitely a massive impact on the community without doubt, particularly obviously 40k game. So definitely. I hope that kind of sums it up in a nutshell what it is.
I reckon so, yeah. So basically the main point here is it's replacing the rules out of the rulebook for flyers, but not for monstrous creatures, as I understand it.
That's right.
That's right, yeah.
That's the main thing. Now, I don't know whether we go through our opinion of it and what before, or shall we just go through a little bit more detail and then get to our opinions of it? What do we reckon?
Let's go through the details probably first.
Yeah, probably.
Don't want to climax too soon. Anyway, so we got new types. So what they're doing is they split it up into 3 different types. We've got the bomber, fighter, and the attack flyers as well. And each one of them now is designed to have a different role on the battlefield, doing different things. So my understanding is fighters can shoot at everything, but they get a bonus, or rather they get a negative if they're shooting at the ground targets. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, so -1 to shooting at ground targets.
That's right, yeah.
Has any army been left without a certain type of flyer? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's...
So Blood Angels lose more or less anything that's Skyfire-esque, so... because they don't have access to all the marine flyers, so their Storm Raven is not a fighter, so it doesn't have Skyfire. So they pretty much lose any Skyfire from flyer point of view. There are others as well. I mean, have a feeling Imperial Guard similar as well. They think theirs is just ground targets. They don't have anything Skyfire. Think there's probably a lot more. But yeah, there's definitely some armies that have suffered from it. 100%.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Someone here, Darkest Soul in chat, saying there's not much anti-air at the moment. So is that it hasn't changed any Skyfire on ground troops? Is that right?
Yeah.
It's only for the flyers that it's changed.
Yeah.
No.
And of course, flyers no longer get cover as well. I think that's a change, isn't it? That they can't benefit from cover from like
That's
ruins
if
and
they're in
buildings
zooming
and
mode.
things. Ah, right. Is zooming mode
Yeah.
basically flying, not hovering?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my understanding. That's how I remember it working anyway. So there's the different types. Obviously, bomber drops things, and the attack fighters are the ones that can go into hover mode, are they? And the ones that can sort of hover around and shoot things, or is that?
That's still going to vary from
Yeah.
fly to
Depends on the
fly.
plane.
Oh, right. Okay. Cool. So that's a big change. Formations and wings. So of course they've given us formations, which I am absolutely loving. I'll say at this point, the formations, because I can bring flyers with my coven, because there is no fast
Oh, of
attack.
course, yeah.
There's no fast attack on that that detachment, and so now I can just attach a formation of a couple of flyers, which is pretty cool.
I believe there's a way that you can actually just bring a flyer on its own, just one flyer,
right.
and that classes as that's a legal army, so you don't need to have it filling anything. You can just chuck in one flyer. Pretty sure I was watching a video on that. I've not looked at it in detail, so don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that there's basically access, so you can just chuck a flyer in, and that's absolutely legal.
Well, there we go. That's even better, because I've only got one. I was going to have to buy another one, I reckon. Wings, that's of course flying in formation, so maybe that should have been formation, and yeah, it's all a bit backwards. Anyway, the naming conventions have never been particularly useful. So, of course, flyers come on for reserve. How many of these wings do people think they're actually going to be able to use? Because, of course, they have to be within a certain distance from each other, don't they, as they fly? And unless you get in all of your flyers on at the same time.
I think you roll for a. Do you roll for a wing or a formation, and you run the formation in a wing?
Yeah.
So
right,
you can definitely get them on the first turn. My only personal problem is I've got one flyer, so I'd need to go out and get a couple more flyers to actually run the wings.
Right.
And I think, for me personally, it's made a big difference as to the reason I had a flyer was to deal with other flying, vehicles or monstrous creatures. That was my sole reason, really, because I wanted anti-air and I wanted it to also be effective after it killed their flyer.
Sure.
But now, with the lack of Skyfire and all the flyers, it's kind of changed the reason I'd want to have one. So I kind of question whether it's worth taking one anymore, or if you're more appropriate taking a whole wing so you get all the buffs.
Yeah.
Or whether you should have none. So that was one of my thoughts with the wings and stuff.
Yeah. Anyone else got anything to say about formations and wings before I
Most
on to
of them
other
are
stuff?
really actually going to be quite hard to make. So the patterns, realistically, to play them in the game, needing the space that you need to kind of create the formations, is going to be actually quite tricky, because your opponent's going to block you off from doing those type of formations.
Scenery as well, I should imagine, will do that, won't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I think, and a lot of them, again, it's because it's a bit all or nothing now, because they're so classed to one specific role within the battlefield. Unless you're playing a huge game, I think a lot of people will probably just punt for two, which is the simplest formation, which will give you some buffs, but it's not putting all your eggs in one basket. That's what I can see happening with the formations and the wings, particularly while things settle down. I think there's a lot of people that really don't know what this is going to do to the meta.
Yeah, I think has it even had a chance to end up at any tournaments yet or anything like that?
Most tournaments are stopping it at the moment.
Even the basic rules, like the extra turning and that sort of thing?
Yeah, at the moment, just because they need to kind of almost work out how that factors in the game from a time point of view, and just how they generally integrate that book into it. So I would say most tournaments within the next couple of months will probably not be playing it. It'll be interesting to see the ones sort of in the autumn, see what happens there when they start to see what they do with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right, I guess next, if we move on to the new rules they've added, so we've got two new characteristics, I want to call them, for each flyer. agility, and what's the other one?
Pursuit.
Pursuit.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I know what agility does. Does pursuit only work in the new phase?
That I don't know.
It is, yeah. So we'll cover that in a second when we go through the new phase then. But agility is basically a handbrake turn at somewhere during your movement, to my understanding, and you're trying to roll below your agility, which makes Eldar even better, and everybody else bad. It's as far as I understand it.
Nah.
Are there any other rules that aren't covered in the new types that we haven't mentioned already?
I think the plus and minus reserve roll thing is probably worth touching on. So if you take a wing in a combined arms detachment, then you get plus or minus 1 to your opponent's reserve roll, or your own, I think.
Something like
and
that.
And if you take a formation with a wing, then it's plus or minus 2.
Wargamer Sean's actually helping us out in the chat there. Thanks, mate. So an actual
I definitely
wing formation, plus or minus 2 to reserves, and 2 to opponents. A wing taken in a card is 1 at the same. So is that only if you get air superiority then, or is that just?
No, that's if you get. I think that's if you get the wing. So if you run the wing. Yeah, I think the air superiority is the formation that's the plus or minus 2 bit.
You've got to take like a squad leader, haven't you? I think to get that plus and minus 1 roll.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you get for the wings.
Yeah.
So in a wing, you'll have a squad leader.
Yeah, I was watching something funny the other day, which played on my just love of things that are broken,
Right.
and they were talking about like you stacking that with the strategic warlord trait, which is minus 1, and there is actually a way to now make it so their reserves come on a 6.
Yeah.
It's just horrendous. If you come against like a drop pod army, you just just break them turn 1.
Yeah.
Funny.
They always miss something, don't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's always.
If you could take it with
there.
There's a character in the Imperial Guard Codex that does it as well.
Yeah.
Officer of the Fleet or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you can stack it quite easily. It could be really quite disruptive.
Could that stack to a higher than 6 roll? Because is there a limit how much you can edit reserve rolls?
It's one of those things that it's almost that unwritten rule. There's a few of those that have started to come out in the FAQ because basically everybody knows, anyone that's actually is worth their weight will realise that you always fail on a 1 and you always succeed on a 6, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of the unwritten rule of 40k. But yeah, there will still be. It's back to that old feel no pain 1+ type thing.
Yeah. It's not a saving throw.
Yeah, it's not right, but yeah, there'll always be people that will argue it, 100%.
Yeah, well, I have no doubt.
Now we've got FAQs, at least we might get an answer on this sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it's time to put in a message to the FAQs.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they've had about 1 million already. How long has it been out now? Like a week and a half?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so 1 million messages a day. They're looking at like 9.5 million. Yeah, quite a few. Okay, so we've sort of covered army specific stuff in the stuff we discussed so far. So I guess there's nothing left other than to mention the new phase. Love it or hate it or don't care. We've got a new phase, which it's a weird one. It's off the table, and it's when both players have flyers in reserves, they get to do some imaginary flying around above the table and potentially stop you needing to buy a flyer in the first place because it ain't going to see the table. It's my understanding. That's about as much as I know, to be honest. And a lot of anger was explained in me finding that out. So I've had to weather a lot to find that information. Who knows more?
I think from what I've read and stuff, it's basically you cover up a dice, and so does your opponent, and the outcome of the coverings of the dice, you basically reveal and then let's say you have a 1 and your opponent has a 1. There's a certain outcome, and all that, which is okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, isn't
exactly,
it?
yeah. But here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
When you've got this kind of system with multiple selections and 2 players, if you look at some sort of basic game theory stuff, it's going to come out at the same solution most of the time, because people will find the most optimal way of minimize the losses to maximize the gains.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a way of that. If you just put a 2 every single time, for example, you won't get really bad things happening, and occasionally you might have something good happening. So you'll just get to a result where everyone's just picking the same stuff. So to me, it seems like a bit of a waste of time, and it would have been a phase better left in the land of imagination.
I think with the concealed dice rolling, when you've got certain results and stuff like that, as you say, I can just imagine a lot of people not telling the slightest truths, or maybe just knocking that dice roll in the opposite direction, so to say. So I think there's got to be a lot more transparency, especially if that wants to be a tournament sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things is I was talking to somebody that was trialing it, and it added an extra hour to their game. And that for me, it's just unacceptable in itself.
My word.
Yeah, I agree. I find some of the games long enough as it is. Like, my feet hurt at the end of the game. I'm just like, I want to sit down. Just maybe even lie down, to be honest. So another hour is just too much.
That's a bit mental. Yeah, I already consider the game to be a little bit too cumbersome as it was, but that's taking the mickey just a bit. I'm sure some people will get a kick out of it, but if it's an hour added on for just rock, paper, scissors before they come on the table, it's.
Is there something in there though as well that's designed just so you can only play like dogfights, just flyers only?
Yeah.
So does that use a table, or is it just you don't even need to buy the models? You just rock up with dice, or does it have an actual on the table representation of where the miniatures are? Or
they're 36 inches away from each other, aren't they?
Right.
That's where they start. So yeah, imaginary world.
Oh right.
Yeah. Don't they have like aerial missions in the back of the book or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the interesting thing is there was a dogfight bit in the last book. Now I don't know the details of it in depth, but it's just almost that they've tried to push it more core. Where really, I think everybody loves the idea of this whole dogfight thing, but they really could do with parking it just for that kind of let's have a dogfight type game tonight. We're going to do that. You bring all your flyers, I'll bring all my flyers, and we'll just concentrate on that. Rather than just kind of just making it too much of a headache in the core game that is already full of minefields of all sorts going on, and you take a psychic heavy army and that could be another hour in itself.
So like Imperial on Talktic or whatever it was called in the past, where it was like literally just aircraft.
I think I don't know where I stand on it as such as I think it should have been kept as a supplement.
Yeah,
because the fact that it says this replaces, like in the front page, I'm pretty sure it says something like these are the new rules for flyers. So if you want to play flyers, you have to play these rules. And that for me is a bit of a joke, because it's like I'm not going to spend 35 quid so I can have another hour on top of my game and not get anything else out of it.
Yeah,
like I'm just paying to make my day longer.
I did have a.
So I think that
should
have been a supplement. Yeah, I was just saying it should have just been a separate supplement and been a focus point instead of this is now the rules,
I had a thought as you were talking about flyer only. In terms of like playing campaigns, it could be quite cool in that respect, because there's some people who play campaigns and they incorporate Zone Mortalis for some games, and you can even do a bit of
Battlefleet Gothic and stuff.
I was thinking Battlestar Galactica, but that's not it. So Battlefleet Gothic, and the outcome of that can affect. So you could have it like Battlefleet Gothic to get onto the planet. The outcome of that determines where, like, some rules for how you do your flyer bit. Then have some flyers fighting, and then that can determine some of the deployment of the troops, and then do your floor bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
think that could be quite
How-
cool.
Yeah, and then you go kill team.
Yeah, I think that's so cool.
The kill
That's
team,
so. That's what it should be. That's fantastic. You know.
That would be
But I
pretty
think
cool.
that's how they should have run it instead of having it as a core rule book now.
Yeah,
So
'cause
had they gone, look, this is how you can improve your game in different ways, as opposed to we're going to take the way you play the game every single day and change it.
Yeah, I heard the other day I was listening to a podcast and they basically said that if you don't want to play the new flyer, the new phase, the dogfight phase, you have to roll off if the other person does, is the official ruling on that. So
Yeah.
that seems a bit harsh. So they haven't even made it sort of agree ahead of time and be nice about it. They've basically gone, well, you're going to roll, and if your opponent wants it, you're doing it. Tough luck. And that's going to cause a lot of problems in casual gaming, especially, I think. I think if you play with mates, you can probably agree ahead of time. But if you're rocking up to a shop, which I know a lot of Americans tend to do, they just sort of turn up to a store and point a finger at somebody and say, "You, I'm going to fight you," and then have a game. That's going to cause a lot of problems, in my opinion. just wanted to say that. That seems quite quite.
I don't know,
blunt.
because there's quite a lot of stuff in 40k that like, me, I know it's again some of my buddies, but you know, we roll off for certain things. It's like, oh, did that happen? Or just how 1, 2, 3 it did. We roll it. The result determines it, and we just get on with it. So I'd like to think it would be the same. You know, if you turn up, you say, I want to play this flyer rules, and the opponent says, I want to play that flyer rules. I'd have thought we'd be like mature enough just to roll off, and whatever happens, the dice decides, and you just run with it.
Although
You'd have thought so, but
it's going to add
know
an
what
hour
some people
onto
are
your
gonna be
game.
like.
Sorry, Ken, I was talking over there. I was just going to say, if it's going to take
No,
an
that's
hour,
all right.
if it's going to add an hour onto your game, that dice roll,
But you don't
that's a bit
necessarily
more
even,
different, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, that's the dogfight phase isn't going to happen all the time, is it? It's only going to happen if one person's got a flyer and the other one hasn't.
True, so you can basically just not take flyers and it won't happen.
Oh, sorry, no. If both people have got them in reserve, yeah.
Yeah, specifically in reserve, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've got some shenanigans that lets you get things on.
I think the problem comes is if you've got sort of some ridiculously powerful Eldar flyer that's going to knock any other flyer out of the sky before it even gets on the board, it could be quite soul destroying if you don't even get to play with your toy. I suppose that would be one of my biggest concerns. Like anything, you know, it should be fair game to at least get on the board, and then it's in that player's interest to try and then play that dogfight stage, dogfight phase.
Yeah.
That I suppose that's the thing. But I totally agree with you, Nick. I think that's ultimately we should all be prepared to roll that dice or make that little agreement before you even build your army if you're playing casual. And then if you're playing in a tournament, then you really know what you're getting into because you know the core rule set before you even rock up. So I suppose I think, you know, ultimately it's not going away. The monetary bit is a real pain, and I think everybody's in agreement that having to drop another 30, 40 quid on a book that is kind of almost we have to is unfair and, you know, is not great. But the reality is this is only going to filter through into the next core rule book. It is the future. It is the way that GW are going to sell not just one flyer but now 3 flyers.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. Will it ruin the game? No, I don't think it'll ruin the game. Will it take a bit of adjustment? Yes, it will. You know, and that's probably where we're going to kind of see it. So, you know, I don't like the dogfight phase. I'm not keen on it. I'd rather not play it. But I think to completely turn off this new flyer book and say it doesn't exist is probably not a reality if we want to play 40k going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a point of note I've noticed is that, especially with previous editions, when you're saying it's going to get lumped in the next edition, it's one of the reasons why I think Lords of War and Fortifications are now in 7th edition, because I don't think Apocalypse sold as much as they wanted to, and I don't think Planet Strike sold as much as they wanted it to. So back then, when you had Planet Strike, you had Fortifications everywhere and stuff like that, and then you had Lords of War like Bane Blades and Titans and stuff. But because they didn't sell, because they were just one-off games and people prefer playing the standard game, they basically just crammed them in order so that they get more, I would say, market makeup. from all the kits that they've made and weren't selling as well, like the Baneblades and the Bastions and the Fortress of Redemptions
and the Obelisk.
And the Obelisk. I think Death from the Skies in the past is now been redone for 7th, but also now crammed into 7th and will roll on to 8th edition, just due to that the previous edition wasn't selling as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the big problems I have with the like it becoming compulsory. I mean, okay, so when you said earlier on, Nick, about a dice roll, when you go to play someone in a store, you don't know what you're going to get, because there's always going to be, every store has a that guy, and I can just see this particular part of the game being a that guy kind of part of the game, where they bring the stuff that's going to like take away all of your flyers. Specifically in a dogfight phase, or they're like, no, if they don't have any, they're like, we'll roll for it, we have to roll for it, or I don't want to do it, so roll a dice. I think you're just going to get a couple more like of those situations arising in stores for pickup games.
Yeah, you will, but all you do is go, if you go into the club or whatever, you see someone, you say, look, I want to play just the old flyer rules. If they say, I don't want to play that, and just play someone else. Don't play them.
I don't have a wealth of people to play, so that's kind of difficult. I know that a lot of people do have small gaming groups, so I can see it just causing a couple of issues in those scenarios. And the other big one is, sort of, if you bring in a unit in a flyer, for example, if you have a Thunderhawk gunship, which is like 600 plus points, and you have a unit of, I think they can carry 10 Terminators, so that's like taking up to 1,200 points in one flyer. That flyer can get shot off before it's even got on the board.
So what happens to the troops in that instance then? Do they just
die?
So rather than falling out out of it like they would normally, taking big hits, they get removed. They just fall to the ground and splat.
Yep, pretty much.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. That could be 1,200 points of your army gone.
Everyone will be buying Sky Shield landing pads and starting them on the table.
Yeah, I know.
And then get the Space Marine psychic powers just to fling the Sky Shield landing pad 24 inches forward.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that one on Dagger too many times with Imperial Knights on top.
Yeah.
Something like that. So,
I guess I think we've covered everything. Has anyone got anything they want to add?
Yeah,
so if I suppose it would be quite good to just catch everyone's if we like it or don't like it, basically, sort of in a nutshell, sort of yes no type thing. Just be interested to get almost a bit of a straw poll.
Yeah,
I'll go first for that then.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all. Hate it, but I am incredibly excited by it at the same time.
Ooh.
Exactly. Yeah, it's weird because
it's complicated.
It's complicated. Yeah, but I understand. Obviously, I've been following GW for a long time. I understand how they work. You know, like they don't sell enough troops, so they make troops like objective secure, blah blah blah. So I can see it from the point of view that obviously they're not selling as many flyers now as they'd like. They're obviously trying to introduce the new rules to encourage people to, you know, obviously play more flyers.
Yeah.
£35 for the book is a lot of money, and putting the formation things aside, there's only actually, I believe, about 2 or 3 pages of actual proper rules.
Yeah.
So it's a huge book, £35 just for a few extra rules. From my point of view, I only have 2 flyers. I have 1 Necron flyer and 1 Eldar flyer. So I'm not going to be taking all of the wings and stuff anyway. So all I want is basically those 2 pages of rules for £35.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, that having new rules for 40k is exciting. You know, it's going to mix things up. It's going to change things and gives you more things to think about, your armies, your army list, how you're going to counteract all the new tactics that are going to be coming out. And it sort of invigorates 40k at the same time. So I've got mixed feelings about it. So yeah, I'm sort of, that's where I am at the moment, to be fair.
Right. Let's go Ace Face. May as well go around. or down?
Yeah, so I pretty much covered it, but yeah, for me, I suppose from a competitive point of view, I'm just very interested, I suppose, at the moment, just to see how different bodies organising competitions start to kind of factor this bit in. I think similar to Nick, I think I'm really interested to see how this shakes up the meta, to see what 40k looks like, what's the power list in 3 months' time, because it potentially could be extremely different to what we're looking at now. So from that point of view, I am really excited. I don't like the fact that it's quite compulsory, and I don't like the whole dogfight phase at all. I really dislike the whole way that works. But yeah, I'm really, really interested to see what happens over the next few months, just to see how this really alters the whole way we play the game. So yeah, I suppose the jury's out, I suppose.
Is the cheese hunter in you excited about finding new combinations?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Good to hear.
Always looking for the cheese.
Indeed. Right, Callum, Tabletop Banter. Final thoughts. I think we know what your thoughts are, don't we?
It's a no. I do think that when it gets rolled into 8th edition, obviously we're going to have to comply, and it may or may not be tweaked come 8th edition. If it, they may have found ways of just making it maybe play a little bit quicker, but it's too clunky, it's too expensive, and it just seems a bit unnecessary. So I'm good.
Fair enough. Right, let's go to Jacob, Warforge.
I'm not really a big fan. I don't really like it on the principle of it, mainly because it's like drawn from the early conclusions, like about how Apocalypse wasn't selling, so they put it in the main rule book and so on and so forth. I feel like this is more of their attempt to say, you must buy this book right now, right then, or we'll cram it into 8th edition. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that idea that you must buy or else kind of thing. I find that, and like us as a gamer base, being passive to just buy it on instinct, or because within that context, it feels a bit worrying that a company can do that. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but I find that's just a bit slimy, a bit icky kind of thing.
I think it's starting to hit their sales when they pull these little stunts, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it is starting to hurt them.
Sorry, so do you remember when they did the experimental assault rules back when 3rd edition was changing to 4th edition, and they published it in the chapter approved? It's like, these are the experimental assault rules. You can use them if you want. And then they tweaked those rules when the 4th edition came out. So I was wondering, maybe they could have done a white draw release, these are the rules we're thinking about, try them out, play with them, see what you think, something like that maybe, and potentially we wouldn't be having this conversation if we didn't have to pay £35 for the rules.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah, there needs to be more transparency of the company kind of thing. It's great that they've started making up with communication on with the Facebook and the social media forums and stuff again, but there needs to be a little bit more transparency.
Right. Okay, let's go to Remco. Sorry, you've been a little bit quiet there in the corner. Not sure if we've been talking over you or what, but I think you... So, go for it. What's your sort of summary of your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is it's quite horrendous. Because I still have my first game. And these rules just make it even worse to try and play my first game.
Right.
The only fire I have is a Fire Raptor gunship, and well, that's not in the book. So, no idea.
That's true. I mean, Forge World, unless they re-release all of their really expensive books pretty sharpish, they can't be used. That's a bit strange.
It's a cool model, but
they have said that they're going to, and I think from what I gathered, their updates for them will be free.
Right.
They'll just put them through, but they've also said that it's not a priority. So
no. Wonderful.
Damn it.
Nice.
So yeah,
they're much more keen to get this new Tau book out because that's where the money is.
Yeah, true.
But it does sound cool because if you have a bigger point game, like 3,000-4,000 points, then I think with the formations and everything, two sides will have a lot of flyers. Then it will be really cool to see what happens and what.
True.
But for the rest, I have no clue about that book.
Fair enough. Hopefully you got a little bit better an idea after after listening to us bang on about it for a while. But I guess that leaves just me, and in true Dragon's Den fashion, I'm going to say, I can see what you're doing, but I'm out. Yeah, not a big fan. There's certain parts that I enjoy, so what I wanted to actually do, because I like certain parts, but not all of them. We've had everybody's idea of what they thought of the whole thing, but I just want to do a sort of show of hands, as it were. Thumbs up and thumbs down from everybody as I go through the list. So, everyone, hands up. You want to stick your hands in front of your camera and give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on what your feelings are on the different things. Right. Using the rules like the turns and that sort of thing in your games.
The turns, yeah?
Yep, so the extra turns and the different types of flyers, that sort of thing. How's your feelings?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're getting up for the turns and we're getting a fair few downs for the types of flyers and what those can do.
Two for Aldar.
Yeah, formations and wing. The formations and wing formations. How's people's thoughts on that? I'm a bit iffy, to be honest. Okay, there seems to be. And that's up. We've got a fair few ups. Right. And finally, I guess the big one is the new phase. Yeah. Oh.
No idea.
Yeah, there we go. We got all downs by the looks of it. I just wanted to get people's thoughts on the different bits, because of course it's difficult to, with so many different aspects and bits you can take and not take. It's difficult to say an overall.
Can we just have one for
an idea.
Elder Flyers?
Yeah. Or Necron Draggers. Anyway. Alright, I think we've covered everything. So time is getting on. We've got a little while left. We're going to do some viewer questions. Viewer questions! Right, so we may as well move on to that. Now, there's one thing I wanted to say before we start this. I've got swear word filters on the chat, and of course, I'm showing the chat down in that corner, and it's my feed. And I don't know whether anybody else noticed this. You have to bear with me a second while I find it. But I was finding it quite humorous. So basically, if someone swears, because I'm sharing the chat on the screen, it shows what they've put, and then underneath it, blocked by channel blacklist. And so it doesn't matter if someone says something bad, it's going to come up on the channel. Incidentally, I'm actually going to take it off the swear word list, because for some reason the word that flagged it was balls. Of all the words, Wargamer Sean holds the fame of this one. First ever sentence or comment or chat notice to ever get blocked on the Legion Live, and that is Great Balls of Fire. Now that is awful. That is just shocking. So one, why is Great Balls of Fire being blocked? And two, it's still coming up on the screen regardless. I'm gonna have to fix that. Incidentally, it is actually my fault, because when you actually, because you can do it on all your chat. I don't know whether you guys are aware, but there's a way you can moderate the chat on your videos and live shows and that. And basically, what you do is you put in a big long list of swear words, which is awesome. I found one on the internet. I looked up for like censorship words and a big old list, and it comes and it's comma separated. And some of the words on there are absolutely hilarious. I'm not gonna repeat them here, but just some of the random crap and just unbelievably offensive swear words and combinations of swear words that come up on that thing. Absolutely amazing. So I would seriously recommend doing that, if nothing else, just to see the list of swear words to have a bit of a giggle at. Yeah. So yeah, that entertained me quite heartily in the show. Right. We'll throw it over now to questions. Has anybody seen a question asked or that they want to answer, or has anybody in the chat got a question they want to ask us, and we'll go through and answer it. Anybody seen? There we go. Right, they're doing it now. Dice Miniature Paint Guy has just typed the word balls by itself. I'm just hoping there's nothing worse come up there. I'm not going to be happy. I may have to turn the chat off if people start putting worse words in there, because we don't want to have to put an 18 tag on that. Sorry?
I've got a question I've seen from Grawley's Lair.
Go for it.
He said, do you think the Death from the Skies would encourage more people to download the rules rather than pay out another £35 for a hard copy?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
At least some of the rules.
So this release may actually get people maybe possibly downloading for free for the first time, and possibly even get into the habit of doing that for future stuff.
Potentially.
Yeah. There's still a lot of people who say they download the stuff to see what it's like and then go and buy the book. Or even say they then go on and buy the ebook, which seems even worse. The likelihood of that happening, I think, is quite low. But yeah, I'm going to take this free version and press the delete button and then get an expensive one that I can pay for. That's exactly the same.
Exactly.
There is one thing I'll say, though.
I think that.
Yeah. There is one thing I'll say, though. The ebooks that you get from, like, Black Library are a lot better than any PDFs you can download illegally in terms of usability.
They're really good. They're really
Head
good.
and shoulders above. You get table of contents, which is fantastic if you're looking on a tablet or your phone. You get... you can search for specific words. There's links in there as well, and it all just works on the basic... Just on the basic book player on my phone. It's absolutely brilliant.
And they update as well. So if there's mistakes or FAQs, I know they don't do many. They update on there as well, which is nice. And even new editions. So I've got the Farsight Enclave book that I bought a while ago. And when the new one came out, even though there was well over 6 months gap in between them, they updated that for free. It was the same with the Assassins one when they did the update on the Assassins. So there are some real kind of benefits to it, definitely.
Yeah. No, I think you can potentially share the actual official ebooks, so it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get illegal copies and they're all going to be PDFs, but that's another thing altogether. I just wanted to get that out there, that I do actually find that there is actually a tangible benefit to ebooks over just pirated, scanned-in PDFs.
Of course.
Hopefully that's...
Actually, will this be even harder for newer people to get into the hobby, or...?
It'll certainly overcomplicate things in the first couple of games. I think I wouldn't even touch it until you were comfortable with all the basic roles and rules and whatnot, because you're not going to absorb it, are you? You want to absorb... I mean, I think even the psychic phase is taking it too far, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of the psychic phase. It should be, you get a handle on moving, shooting, and assaulting, and then repeat. And then once you've got them down, then you can add more in there.
I mean, you can miss a psychic phase by agreeing with your opponent not to take a psyker. But I think what the psychic phase has done for the game is it's streamlined all of the psychic powers. Whereas this dogfight phase hasn't streamlined anything. It's just bolted on an extra half hour to an hour on the front.
Yeah. You're probably
It's
right.
more expensive for a new player. Go straight into Games Workshop store, because now you don't have to spend. It's not just £50 on the codec on the rulebook. It's £50 on the rulebook, £35 on Death from the Skies, and £30 or whatever for your codex. Start your army. That's before you even bought any models.
Yeah, I know.
It's a mighty big buy-in, that really is. Is there a box set anymore that gives you the small rulebook? Or have they done away with that?
Yeah, Dark Vengeance.
Yeah.
There's still Dark Vengeance, even now?
Yeah.
Wow.
7th edition. Harry and I have bought like 3 copies between us. So
I thought Dark Vengeance was 6th edition when that first came out.
they updated it.
it. So,
Right. Makes sense. I was a little worried that there wasn't even a way of getting the small rulebook. When I got back into it, we used to just hunt that down on the
eBay.
On eBay. You used to be able to find templates and tiny rulebooks.
Exactly the same.
Because people were just buying the boxes and selling the orcs and whatnot on, weren't they? And then they'd be left with a load of templates and books. I know, right? So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't touch it until you're into the game a lot more.
And I would
Makes sense. I know I went off a bit on a tangent then, but yeah, that's the takeaway from that.
Yeah.
Anyone
Anything
got
else?
any other questions they've seen?
There's one here. What about flying monstrous creatures? They're not included in the book, which kind of I don't like myself.
So
it
might be the fact.
better. It makes them
makes
better.
them
because
much better.
Yeah.
It makes them infinitely better, as they have 360-degree arc. Now they have Skyfire. No like bad things for shooting at ground targets. It just makes things more of a headache for when you have like humans.
They just need to add wings to the Waith Knight.
Oh my! Don't joke about that.
I've given them.
We do not joke about that. I'm sure they will release a book with monstrous creatures and flying gargantuans at some point.
Yeah.
What they'll call it, I don't know.
Is the
judging by the current plan, just death from the skies. But
is that big old grey knight baby carrying a Terminator? Does he fly yet? I know he teleports, doesn't he? He doesn't need to fly. Yeah. I was gonna say it's only a matter of time before they give him a big jetpack on the back there, but he already does it. So yeah.
Wings.
Yeah. Death from the wings. Sorry, just reading the comments there.
Yeah, WARGAMES short.
He's been coming up with some good lines this evening.
He's been
Happy
on
to
fire.
see. Yeah. Right, any more questions anybody has seen? Don't think any questions people have got, and I'm very aware that there's a 30-second delay between what the guys ask and when we answer them.
Yeah. What? Okay. Here's one. Opinion on dabbing. Anyone know what dabbing is? Apart from like when you just do that with a like.
It's when you're on your mountain bike and you're about to fall off and you sort of dab your foot down to give yourself a bit of stability, was my understanding. That's what I use for dabbing.
Is it appropriate for this chat, Callum?
I don't know. Is it?
Urban Dictionary.
Oh no, let's not go there.
I don't know.
No one goes there.
I ain't got a clue.
Oh, you know I'm going to have
Tell
to
us.
know.
I'm going to say I love it without knowing what it is. It's got to get a bit of variation in response to
You
there.
do
I
it
love dabbing.
Every morning
It's
before
great.
you wake up, right?
Oh yeah, with my
can't-
breakfast.
You can't go on with your day until you've had a bit of a dab.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Have we had any kind of explanation in the chat yet? Since all that.
Dabbing is a drug reference. Like I said, with my cereal.
Every morning.
Just
Obviously.
started.
Popularized as a dance. Dib dab? Okay, so there are some serious, like, the guy who asked the question asked if it's a drug reference. I don't even.
A dib dab.
I think we've gone to a dark place right
We
now.
certainly have. It could have gone worse.
Let's
though.
turn around.
Next thing you'll know, will be
So, actually, can I ask you guys something then?
Yeah. Go
So, obviously, as you know, I play basically just my main buddy who plays Blood Angels, and he's just got his new list, which is doing very well against me, which obviously includes a Storm Raven, which is pretty good for helping him to take out my Flyrants, for example.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Obviously, this new rulebook is going to give him a few problems.
Yeah. Can he get his money back?
You know, what do I do? Because so we just use the old rulebook and just carry on how we're doing?
It's a tricky one.
Third Flyrant.
What do you mean? Three's not enough.
Can they be taken as troops? Yeah. So it is a tricky one because I mean, the little rules like that, the little changes are supposed to now be. They are mandatory. The sort of optional stuff that you choose in between are the doing dogfights.
Well, they're only optional if you
if you say they are.
Tournament. I mean, me and my buddy, you know, we can play what we want. We can get third edition out and play that if we want.
That's a very good point.
So that's the question really is, I mean, we've got to spend 35 quid if we want the official rules. And then he's got one flyer, I've only got one flyer and two armies. We've got 3 flyers between us. Do do we want to spend £35 for those rules and for him to lose his Skyfire on his only Skyfire vehicle? You know.
Yeah.
It personally puts me in a bit of a quandary, really, on which way to go. You know.
It might be a question to put to the audience. Because of course they're going to be watching your channels, and it's what they're kind of expecting from your bat reps. I mean, would the viewers want to see those kind of rules? Would they be upset if those rules were being ignored in battle reports on YouTube? That's another biggie, isn't it? I suppose. Is it what people want to see? Because if people don't care, then it doesn't really matter, does it? You can literally do whatever you like. I'm just gonna wait a few minutes. Flak is.
Yeah, flak missiles, which is great if it wasn't like 25 points.
Oh, right. Is that per missile or just for
per missile launcher? Yeah, so that's an additional 100 points.
Crack can be alright, like from a Chaos Marine perspective, especially with missile launchers on Havocs. I mean, I've got a squad of 5 and a commander, and when I've used them, they've usually been alright. It's just the struggle against Armor 12, really.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're paying 100 points for 4 shots of potential Skyfire.
Yeah.
And you're putting that in a list you might not even go up against flyers. So.
Yeah.
100 points.
Yeah. You spend 100 points, but at the same point, they're also strength 8 and they've also got a small blast as well. So it's kind of more like a Swiss Army knife than anything else.
A Swiss Army knife with toughness 4 and a 3-up save.
Could have been ruins, so 4-up cover.
Oh, wow. Awesome. But it's not. You can put a tank in ruins. So I just don't think they're a solution. That's what I'm trying to say, basically.
Are they 25 points?
Per model, yeah. So you're paying 170 for a unit of 5.
Wow.
Bit much.
Yeah, we've had a couple replies. A mixture. Some people don't mind, and a couple of guys, Grawley and Tattoo for You, they seem to be saying that people watch to learn, and so it's a real tricky one, to be honest. It's a bit of a minefield when it comes to recording games and putting them online, what people expect. It really is.
They're not going to learn much, though, are they? If just like we set up and
here's a dice roll.
Turn 2, and then that's it, into the report.
Yeah. True, yeah.
Oh, I've come to watch that flyer be on the table. Oh, it gets shot down. That would be a pain in the backside. It'd be interesting to see how it all pans out in both, in everything. As YouTubers, it'd be interesting to see whether people start doing it in the YouTube, and if the community just accepts that it'll never be played by anybody who plays it regularly, or if it does become the norm.
Put out a video today, basically saying that Commissar Warwick put out a video today, basically saying that he's just got to stick with the old rules, you know. That's just his personal preference, and his order buddies and gaming groups are going to do the same. It was a great video, actually. But more interestingly, in the comments section, there was a lot of comments basically agreeing, you know, with what he was saying.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think arguably, as long as you state at the beginning of the reports, you know, we are going to be using the old flyer rules. You know, and then if somebody doesn't want to watch it, they can just switch off. But I don't think it's going to have a major impact on battle reports, really.
Yeah, you're probably about right. I guess one of the big deciding factors might be what the tournament organisers decide to do. It's late. I can't speak. I've got cold tea. But yeah, I was just curious, to be honest, as to how that would pan out. It'd be interesting.
I think the TO situation is going to be really interesting, but that for me is where the only interest in this thing lies.
I think Rob Bear from Spiky Bits was saying that on his tournaments he's not going to do the dogfight phase, certainly at the beginning anyway.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was watching his video on that.
Yeah, I did a bit of swatting before this, and
yeah.
Have you had any thoughts, Ace, on your tournaments?
I I don't know. I'm waiting to see really. I'm just interested. I mean, for me, it's all about the ITC. So I mean, I've been keeping in touch with those guys because for like my tournament, for our tournament, we will play whatever the ITC deem as the way forward because we're using their rule set. So it'd be interesting to see. My gut feel is that like dogfights won't be allowed, and that everything else will stand with the new set of rules. When I watched a sort of live chat with the guys from Frontline beginning part of the week, and what they've said is that they'll because it's the if you've got a flyer, you get that thing where you choose whether you're going to roll for it or whatever. They sort of say that it's almost like a rule for their rule set that if you've got a flyer, automatically your decision is no, you don't want to do it. That way you still have like an end of the dogfight phase, so all the rules that are specific to the end of it still class, but you just don't do the dogfight yet. Now they're still sort of umming and ahhing about it because I think they'll throw it out to the community and see what the general consensus is there, because all ITC rules on the whole, even if not straight away, are voted on by the community. So it will very much depend on what comes out there. But I'm just kind of waiting to see. I'm not too sure really. The ETC tend to go straight to the rule book, so it'd be very interesting to see what they decide to class on it. The time thing, though, I think is potentially will be a big factor to their decision, because with a tournament format, you've got a specific time to play each game in, and if it actually makes things longer, then it might not be viable in a tournament atmosphere.
You might end up losing one of your games in the tournament just to have this extra bits in there.
Yeah, which people won't be prepared to do that.
Yeah, I mean this could be. Is this the first time? Because of course, at the moment, we've got guys who are handling the way tournaments run themselves. Like the guys at Frontline Gaming have got basically control over what goes on with a lot of ITC, which is a huge influence on how a lot of people play the game. They've got a lot of power over there. Is this one of the first times we're going to see like the community decide how successful something is and whether it's actually used? I think that could be a thing. Especially if like Gaming are throwing it out to the community as well.
Yeah, it's still not huge. I mean, obviously I'm banging the drum, but it's still, I'd say ITC is still actually quite a fraction of general across the UK. But it'd be very interested to see what pressure it puts on the US gaming scene, because it's extremely influential over there. It does take up the majority of their tournament scene. So, and generally what happens over there does have a slow filter over here. As much as we might not necessarily agree with it, it does tend to filter over. So, yeah, it'll definitely have an impact. We'll have to wait and see. But generally, as a rule of thumb, ETC is more the UK and European rule set that most people favour and go to. So that will be the first sign of what the community decides to do with this rule set, is what comes out through ETC. And it'd be interesting to see what they do with it. I don't know. I'm not close enough to it. So, but yeah, interesting times.
Yeah.
I mean,
it could backfire on GW. If everyone says, right, let's not bother playing flyers, there's just too much hassle, nobody's got enough flyers to play, so everybody basically just boycotts it, stops playing flyers, and GW's been unsuccessful in just basically bringing this rulebook out to try and sell more flyers.
Well, I think they've probably had enough sales already to justify the making of it. So.
I mean, at the end of the day, they've made the money off the books. They've made the money way in advance off the minis. So if you don't play flyers, you'll have to fit the points in somewhere else. So you'll buy more troops or more tanks. So I honestly think this was kind of a win-win for their pockets. And as a business, I wouldn't blame them for making this decision.
No, you're probably right.
But as a player of the game, I'm not a massive fan.
I've become a bit numb to rule changes in 40k over the years, to be honest.
Yeah.
I used to have some semblance of emotion towards it. There was once rage where there is now just acceptance. And shame. A lot of shame.
I think that is almost the perfect comment to round off the entirety of this Legion Live episode.
I reckon. Just one last
There was
thing.
once rage.
Yeah, there once was rage. That should be the tagline.
Now there is shame.
We'll get it read out at the beginning by somebody with a deep voice. Just looking at the chat, a few of the guys have chimed in, are basically saying, I'm sure I saw something in there about Dice Miniature Painting guy is basically saying he watches it for the social emotions and that side of thing rather than the rules. So yeah, the answer is maybe. Maybe it'll affect what you put on YouTube and how people react to it, or maybe it won't. Which is a resounding...
Legion Live, making super great, very definitive decisions since 2016.
Indeed. That's another tagline. We'll just
Yeah,
fill
that's
the screen with
actually.
taglines.
When I very first got into 40k, introduced by a couple of my buddies, and I mentioned it to somebody else on my other friends, and he said, "Oh yeah, I used to do that." He goes, "All I remember is being very expensive." He said, "And they used to always change the rules." And here I am, 13 years later, and it's like, how true was that?
Yeah.
So nothing has changed.
Same old expletive, different day.
Yeah,
but you could argue that that's a brand. That's actually a branding part of their business. Everyone remembers them as the guys who changed the rules.
It's a statement of content.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which in that respect, it's working perfectly.
Yeah.
Right, I think we are probably coming towards the end of it, as Callum says. Callum's now reduced to a floating head in a black
That's right.
space.
Yeah.
Slowly.
University
surely.
means I can't pay for electricity, so I'm having to actually pedal underneath the table to power my
right.
computer.
I see. Hard times. It gets better.
Sure.
It gets better.
Yeah.
Right, shall we wrap it up there? If everyone is okay with that. Actually
Cool.
ended on time this week. I mean, last couple of times we've ended up going over. We got a fair bit of talk in there as well. That was quite good. Right, so as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank these guys, wherever they are. I'm really bad at pointing at people on this. For coming on and chatting with us. It's been a really fun week this week. As always, if you like what everyone's been saying, go ahead and take a look at their YouTube channels. The names are above their heads, and that's basically what you need to search in YouTube. If you're watching this recorded, the channels will actually be linked down in the description as well. Show some love, and as always, hopefully we will see you in 2 weeks' time. Let's try and get it back on track in terms of when we film, because it's been a bit all over the place in the past few weeks, but fingers crossed we can get it better.
Of course.
Right, so nothing left to say but goodbye.
Bye.
Oh,
See you around.
See you later.
Bye.
okay, guys. See ya.